Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. Thank you so much for stopping by. And I really do hope that your coding journeys are going super great and super smooth. Although, let's be honest, this coding journey of ours isn't always going super great and super smooth at the same time. It's filled with a lot of headaches, a lot of long nights, but at the end of the day, it's something that we should be proud of because it's such a great journey that it puts us through. And it doesn't hurt to be optimistic and positive at the same time, right? So let's get started here. So in today's video, what we have is a basic modal using React.js and Tailwind CSS. So as you can see, we have a button here, a click me to open button, or a click me to open modal with a hover effect here. And as soon as we click the button to open the modal, you'll see the modal pop out with a dimmed background here. It's more than dimmed, I guess. But yeah, so the dimmed background is so the user can be focused more on the content of what's inside of the modal here. And then, as you can see, we are going to be able to close the modal using some functionality. React.js will be using the useState hook as well as passing props also. So stick around. Definitely get your coding fingers ready, guys. See you soon. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create two files. One is a practice.js file, which is going to be the main page that is being rendered, or the main file that is being rendered. You can name it anything you like, but for this example, I'm just going to make it practice.js. And then the second file is going to be your modal.js file. And just make sure that that the practice or the main file that you're going to be wanting to render is being rendered in the app as well, or app.js file. So the next thing that we are going to want to do is go into your practice.js file and then just import the useState hook here. And then after that, you're going to want to just go right underneath the function, the start of the function. We are going to start with our variable. So we're going to say const is modal open, and then set is modal open equals useState, and then false. Now I just want to set is here. Okay. Now I just want to mention two things. The first one is in my previous videos, and I've mentioned this as well, but the way I try to look at using how to use the useState hook, which makes it easier for me to remember, is basically thinking of the useState hook as a cooler. So let's say it's a hot day and you want to be able to go to the beach or the park and you want to take your beverages with you. So how do you do so? You take a cooler, you put your ice in it, and you take your beverage, let's say a lemonade, and you go to the beach. Once you're at the beach, you can take out anywhere in the beach, you can take out your lemonade and drink it, quenches your thirst. Cold, nice lemonade, right? So the same concept can be used for our variable here with the useState hook. So what we're doing is we're taking our item, which is modal open, and then we are putting it inside of our cooler in our useState hook, which is going to be our set is modal open. That way, once we are about to render it or anywhere in our code that we like, we can use it anywhere in our code. The same thing can happen with APIs. Let's say you have a certain API that you want to use. Let's say shows you all of the food, the types of plates in a recipe. You take an API and let's say you want to use one type of recipe. You set that recipe here, and then you can use it anywhere in your code later on. So the second thing that I'd like to mention is the reason why we are using the false here is because inside of the useState is because we want the false to be a default state. And what I mean by that is let's say it's the middle of the night and you are going to the bathroom. You want to be able to turn on the light in the bathroom, right? Because you want to use it. So in this case, before entering the bathroom, the light is off. What happens if the light is on? You'll just be incurring, or you leave the light on, you'll just be incurring a lot of a huge electric bill, right? At the end of the day. So the light switch being off, or the lights being off, is a default state of off, right? So then you hit the light switch on once you're in the bathroom, and it turns on, which in this case, it's the same thing. It goes from false to true. And the same thing is going to be done with our modal, right? So we're going to have a button here, and then once you click the button, which is at a default off state, it's going to open the modal, and the false will be true. So the reason also that we want to make it false as a default is, imagine going to Google, right? Let's say it has a modal that it uses somewhere in the page. That sits right in the middle of the page once you open that modal in google.com. Let's say you go to google.com and you want to look up recipes, right? And as soon as you go to google.com, you see that the modal is open, or a modal is opened. You're just going to be caught off guard. You're going to say, what is going on, right? So we don't want that for our users. So that's why we're going to want our modal to be in a false state here. Okay. So now the next thing that we are gonna do is we're gonna make the function, or the functionality of our button, to do something. What is that something? It's going to be the open the modal, and we're going to just comment this out, and we're just gonna type in open modal function. Okay. So right underneath it, we're going to write out our function, and we're going to say const handle modal open, and then just finish off the function template just like that. And then inside of the function, we're going to say set is modal open. Remember, because this is what we're saving our is open modal to. And then we are going to just say true. Just like that. And you can use it as well this way as well. Is modal open, which is modal open, or which is like the opposite of it with the exclamation mark. But just to keep things simple, we're just going to use true or false. So in this case, handle modal open, the user clicks on the button to open the modal, and then it's going to open the modal here. Awesome. So now the next thing that we're going to do is, of course, if you open something, you want to have the ability to close it as well, right? Imagine opening a modal that never closes. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say close modal function in comments, and then right underneath it, we're going to say const. We're going to tweak this this handle modal open just a bit here. So we're going to say handle modal close, and then just finish off the function just like that. And now we're going to say set is modal, and then false. So remember, we're going from false to true, opening the modal, and then closing it back to false, back to the default. Okay. So now we have that, and we're ready pretty much just to style our button here, make it look like a button, right? So next up is just going to be making the button. So we're gonna say, take the div there, we're gonna say w full, which is width, full width, and then height as well, screen size, which is about 100 VH there, viewport height. And then right underneath it, we're going to make our button. And we want our button to say, click me to open modal, exclamation mark, and you'll see it render here. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we want our button just to be in the middle here, because keeping it up there is not going to be good just looking at it there. So we're just going to make it a flex, justify center, that way it can move here or here. And then of course we need the item center because of the button. It's going to be vertically without it here. So the next thing that we're gonna do is let's just style our button really quick. So we're gonna say border, add a border to it, and then we're gonna add some padding about 4, just like this. And then let's also add a rounded border with about 12 pixels, which is XL here, as you can see. And then as you can see, we don't have anything else. It just looks stale, but let's just add some hover effect. That way the user knows that, you know, there's something going on with it, right? So we're gonna add a background of let's say black, and then hover. We're gonna add on hover. We're gonna add a text of white. So as you can see, we hover over it, and it looks pretty cool. So now the next thing that we're gonna want to do is we're gonna take this function to open the modal, and we're going to bring it down and make the function actually the button actually do something. Okay, so let's just copy and paste it. And then we are going to use the onClick event, which is like this. onClick equals curly brackets, and then inside of the curly brackets, you're either going to copy and paste the handle modal open, or you can type it out. In this case, I'll just paste it there, and you should be all set. But you're clicking on it and nothing happens, right? So because we're not showing anything, let's just open up our console log there, and then back in the open modal function, just to make sure that it is working, we'll add a console log here, and then we're gonna say set is modal open, like this. And then once we click it, it should work. So we click it once and we get the default state. Not to worry, it'll just show up just because it's showing the default. But then once we click it again, as you can see, it'll say true. And then once we click it again, it'll say true, 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 true. We'll keep clicking, and it'll still say true. But not to worry, it doesn't mean that once we have everything's open set up, the false is gonna be the first, and you're gonna have to double click basically the button to open the modal. It's not gonna happen. It's just for this case here. So we can just go ahead and refresh the page there. So our handle modal open, and our click button is opening and is working. So just because we have that doesn't mean we're done. Remember that. So the next thing that we want to be able to do is render the modal component here. So we go about doing so by just using the conditional rendering here, and with the open curly brackets, and inside of those curly brackets, we are going to use once again the conditional rendering, and then we're going to say is modal open and modal component. So what this is saying is, if the is modal open is true, we want it to also render the modal. So if it is true, right, if modal open true, right, once we click the button, it'll open and then it'll render the modal. So that's how we're having it opened here and then rendered. So if you want to take a look at it, you can definitely do so. So now it should render the modal. Look at that. Okay, and let's just refresh the page, and it's opening the modal just like this. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is, you know, it's not going to stay like this. We want to be able to style the modal, make like a modal, right? So we can just go on to our modal here, and then let's just style it up a bit. So we'll just have our modal be width full again, and then H screen as well. So now the next thing that we're gonna do is just make a comment here and make this the modal background here. And this is what's gonna give it that effect of like a dimming effect once the modal opens and the background just dims there. That way that it shows that the modal is the focal point. So now we'll just make the div here, and then we're gonna say class name. So we're gonna also say W full and H full, which is taking 100% of the parent, which is gonna be here or here. Okay. So now lastly, we are going to, underneath it, we're going to also comment, and we're going to say this is going to be the modal, or the modal container. So we're going to make a div here. And then for this case, we are going to just make the div about 400 pixels by 400 pixels. So 400 in width and 400 in height. So we're going to say W 400 pixel and then height 400 pixels like this. And then let's show that there's a border here. And as you can see, there's a border. Awesome. And with the border, let's just have some rounded corners just like this. So as you can see, let's refresh the page, and then we'll see we'll open the modal, and we'll see that the modal opens. But it still looks horrible, right? So let's just keep on trucking. So the next thing that we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to add that dimming background as well. So what we can do is we'll just go back to the modal background and just make it any color, but I like to use like a darker color. That way it shows that it's kind of dimming. So we'll use BG, Zinc, and 900. So as you can see, this is our modal here. And then let's also, the background, so let's also add some opacity. So we'll say 90, about 90% in opacity. Okay. So now what we want is, it still doesn't look good because you refresh the page, you click to open the modal, and it opens, but this is still here. So what we're going to want to do is, since this is a component, we want the whole component to basically cover or overlap our practice page, right? So we're just going to add an absolute like that. And now, as you can see, it's looking more like a modal, right? So the next thing that we're going to do is we are just going to go back to the modal background, and we want our modal to come straight in the middle here, just as we did with our button there. So we can go ahead and do so by just making a flex, justify center, and then moving it with items center to the middle, like that. And now let's just lastly go to the modal and add a color. In this case, we'll make it white. And look at that, guys. So now, as you can see, let's refresh the page. We click it, and there's your modal, right? So let's just add a little bit more to it. We'll just add an H2, and we'll just say, "Hi, I am your modal." Let's make this in the middle as well. So we'll just, the same thing as we did here with the flex, justify center, and then items center. Push it to the middle here. Awesome. So the last thing that we're going to add here is going to be our close button, or X. So how we can do this is right underneath it, you can make a button, and then we'll just make an X button there. But instead of X, we'll just make it a close. That way it'll show there. Okay. So we're not satisfied with this being here, right? Because it just looks off. Like you don't know if it's part of the H2 as well. So normally when it comes to modals are what I have seen to the top right of any modal or any type of component there. So that's what we're going to do. So we can go ahead and just add some, make it absolute here. So one thing, if you're having trouble with a relative and absolute, just make sure, remember that the main container that you want to take, you want your for example, your button to be relative is for your modal, okay, for that container. So for example, if I make my modal background relative, right, and I put my button absolute, it's going to be in the middle, but then let's say if you want to add it to the top, instead of being here, it's going to be over here, as you can see. All right, so you can just change this here to, remember, the container that you want it to be a part of. So relative, and it'll be right here at the top. Now, we want it to be at the corner, so let's just add it to the corner there. And then it's hugging the border too much there, so we'll just change this, and let's say about 4 pixels away from the borders there, from the top and the right. And as you can see, it's looking much better. So lastly, what we're gonna do here is, as you can see, we can't close it because we haven't, although we made the functionality, we haven't added it to our button there. So let's go ahead and do that. So in order to do that, we go back to our practice.js file, and we are going to pass our handle modal close as a prop to our modal. And if you guys are having some trouble with this as well, another kind of like analogy that I like using that helped me out tremendously is, think of this being like a package facility, right? Whether it be FedEx, DHL, UPS, etc., etc. So for this example, we'll use FedEx. This is the FedEx facility. Your practice.js is your FedEx facility, and your modal is your home, okay? So let's go to the practice facility, or the FedEx facility. Now, your handle modal close is going to be your package, right? So where's your home? They have your home right here. Okay, so they're going to send it to your home, just like this. So you're going to put it inside of your modal component like this. So you're going to say handle modal close equals, and then curly brackets. Inside of the curly brackets goes the handle modal close again. So remember, this is the FedEx facility. They're sending out your package, which is this. And then in order for them to send it to your address, your modal has to be in here, or your component. So we are putting it inside of our modal component. So that's not all. Just remember, in order to 100% finish off, the ordering and the receiving of your package, you also have to receive it, right? So just because they're outside of your house doesn't mean you receive the package. They still have to at times ring your doorbell and have you sign it, right? So in order for you to receive or sign and receive the package, the way I like to look at it is, I go to the modal here, back to the modal.js component, and then right here where it says the function modal, parentheses, you're going to pass in the prop, which is going to be the handle modal close. So now I have received it. I have received the package, and I can use it anywhere inside of my code, or anywhere inside of my my home, right? So let's just take an example as well. So as you can see, I passed it along, and I have it. We're gonna actually put it to this, add it to this button here. So we're gonna say use an on-click event as well, and then just handle modal close. So as you can see, there's no errors or anything. But if you take the handle modal close, if you forget to receive the package, you'll get an error just like this. Then it says handle modal close is not defined. So it's like saying, I have a package, but I haven't received it yet, right? So you can just say, or like, I have the confirmation order, but I don't have the package. So you have your confirmation. You have your receiving your package in here, and now it's all good, and now it should work. So let's take a look here. So we're going to click to open, and look at that, it opens. And now let's close, moment of truth, and let's close, and it closes. So we open and then close, open and then close. Awesome, guys. So yeah, when it comes to if you're still having trouble with the use state hook, please use the analogy of like a cooler, or even like a book bag. You're putting your notebooks and your pencils inside your book bag, and you want to use it at school. Or you can use the beach analogy. You're putting it inside of your beverages inside of a cooler to use and to drink at the beach, right? And then use the props, the passing of the props as like a package handler analogy. And once again, you can use whatever page you want to have a modal in, you can think of that as your FedEx facility. Remember to pass on, because you're shipping your package, which is the handle modal close right here. You're shipping it to your address, which is the modal component. And lastly, remember to go into your modal component and receive your package, right? Or take in the prop that's being sent to your modal component. And then you can just use the on-click event, handle modal close, and you should be good to go. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by, watching the video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it and got something from it. If you're having some trouble, please feel free to leave comments. If you really like the video, please give it a thumbs up. That'll help a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next one.